What's up, guys? Early morning in Brooklyn. I love looking out the window. I watch the cats in the morning there. And there's another cat up on that building right up there. And it seems like the owners, they let them out in the morning. So you see them kind of getting out there a little bit late after the birds already safe. It's so great to be here, just to look around and see. To a lot of people, like Hollywood is like not real to them, you know? But to me, New York is more like that. It's like a Woody Allen movie or something. So it's really, yeah, I can't tell you how grateful I am to be able to spend some time here. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do it again, but this has been a great experience. I want to just show you I got my Gonzo breakfast here. To me, it's just a regular breakfast. So, I just got here. I got some beets. I got a beet, some ginger, a little bit of red pepper. This is very good for the prostate, the male prostate. This is one thing. Red pepper, red togarashi in Japanese. I learned this in Japanese, so I can't think in English sometimes when I talk about things. But this is very good for the prostate, especially as you get older. So that's one thing you should put in, as many things as possible, actually. I think I've never seen any research on green peppers, but I also eat, I have green peppers too. This is just a standard jicama, Jicama, I think. Jicama is nice, and what I use jicama for is I eat it raw. So I just basically peel it and almost half is gone. So I was a little bit hungry one night, wanted to have a little bit of something to eat, didn't want to eat any garbage, so I had half a jicama, and that was great. It's kind of between, to me, my thing is, I don't know, it's a Mexican vegetable. It's popular in Mexican food. I don't know how Mexicans, I think it's cooked usually, but I like it raw. And it's kind of like, to me, it's kind of between a fruit and a vegetable. And it just kind of fills you up. And it's just one of these nice things that you could just, when you're a little bit hungry, you can do that. Pumpkin. This is a Japanese pumpkin. It's, look, you can see the color there. It's not a squash. It's called I think in English they call it a butternut squash. But to me, it's really a pumpkin. It's kabocha in Japanese, and you can usually get them for about $1 or $2. So look around for these if they're on sale. If they're not on sale, then maybe get a squash. But this is considered, one of the superfoods. And I think why people don't eat it is because it's hard to cut. Okay, so that's the main thing. You got to be ready to, fight it out with a knife to get through this thing. So, and you can cut yourself with this one. It's so hard that you can actually hurt yourself. So I have my own methods for cutting this, but that's your biggest challenge. Once you have a way of I use my body weight behind the knife instead of my arm strength. And then I get a nice, smooth, even cut, and I've never hurt myself. But I think that's the only thing you need to know about that, is that it is hard to cut. So what happens with something like this, it's very cheap, it's super healthy, it's really, really nice in the winter, because in the winter you cook it up nice and hot, and it just warms you up. And it's also a superfood, so it fills you up. It gives you all kinds of nutrients. This, you can see, this one's getting a little bit old because I've been eating it. I've been eating a little bit slow for some reason, but just a little bit every day. So that's good. It stays for a long time. You can see it's fresh here, just a little bit around the edges, tiny bit old. This one here I just got was on sale, so I just grabbed that. A little bit of these ones. I kind of grab vegetables. I don't even worry about the names of them too much. It's always good to have onion and garlic. Never go wrong with those two. These are powerful foods. This was for many, many decades. Actually, what am I saying? For like thousands of years, this was considered before medicine. This was considered a form of medicine. So garlic is like a solid thing that you can always throw. You can eat it raw. I often eat it raw in the mornings, as you guys know. And I just kind of throw it in anything that I'm cooking. So today I'm just going to do a very simple. I'm going to cut these up, except for the jicama, which I'm going to eat raw. And then I'm just going to simmer them and, just kind of make a little bit of, what do you call it? It's not exactly steaming because I'm going to use water in it. But it's kind of essentially steaming. But then the water I drink. So I don't waste it, right? Because you get a lot. Beets here, why beets are so great is that beets are basically, they have the same, the name of it, I forget the name of it, but that's the thing. You can be extremely healthy without knowing the things that most people think you have to know. Basically, just remember the simple things. Your tongue turns purple with this one. Okay. And the reason why it turns purple is because it has the same thing that blueberries have. Now, blueberries are also considered a superfood, but blueberries are very expensive and they're difficult to grow. Beets are really easy. They're like a potato. You just put them underground, they grow, and they're easy to cut. They're easy to cook. They're just awesome. And they have much more of that, whatever that is that turns your tongue purple. So you get basically blueberry on the cheap with this. And also they last a long time. So you can use like a little bit of this every day if you want. I usually use about a half, but because they're so cheap. These are so cheap. But if they are expensive where you are, you can just use, just cut off like a little bit, slice it every day, do a little bit. And also this is nice to throw in any soup. So if you're making a soup, just throw some beet in there. And what it does is it gives it a nice silky, kind of creamy flavor. Kind of the same thing as if you add coconut milk or cream to a soup. And it's extremely healthy. And it tastes great too. You'll taste it too. The creaminess like really makes something taste better. So that's awesome. These beans, I always forget the name of them, but this bean is the only bean, I've done a lot of research on food, that is good for the wood. So if you're a male, there's very few things that are like good for your health, like specifically for men. This bean here apparently is. I can't promise it. I've done a lot of research. I've read a lot, and it definitely has to me, it passed all of my bullshit tests. So I say you can't lose with this. They're cheap. They're easy to cook. They taste good. They fill you up. And there's a very, very good chance they're good for the wood. So yeah, these are good. So get these beans whenever you get a chance. Whenever you see them, usually you just get a pile of them. I'm going to eat all these together this morning. I don't eat the outside, really. But what I do with the outside is I cook it like this, just like this. I don't cut off the end or anything. I just throw the whole thing in there. So while this is cooking, okay, down in the bottom of the bowl, of the pan, I'm going to have this on top because I don't want to overcook these. So I basically put these in for a very short period of time, and then I take them out when they're kind of steamed. They're kind of on top. So these are actually steamed. This one also I don't want to overcook. So I put that in later, and this one too. I don't want to put that in too early because this will overcook very fast. And you don't want that. You just kind of want this steamed a little bit. The reason why you want to do it is because see how it's not very dark green there? It's just like a light green. As soon as you start cooking, this will change to a dark green. And what that is that's a chemical change of the food. So some foods, when you cook them, they undergo a chemical change. And that chemical change makes it into it's a totally different thing. So it's good raw, but it's also good cooked. So you can, if you want to hedge your bets, eat a little bit raw, eat a little bit cooked, and then you're covered. And this, similar to a tomato. A tomato, when you cook it, it tastes totally different. It looks totally different. It becomes a dark red. That's because it's undergoing a chemical change. So I just kind of keep these things in mind. So I don't believe any research too much. I know that vegetables are the key. So sometimes I'll eat it raw, sometimes I'll cook. I won't let myself get too carried away. And also I don't let myself think too much. I just kind of cover all my bases. And as you notice, here, there's many different colors here. You got this, white, right? You got white, you got the purple, you got the orange. Now, these also, not necessarily, I'm not saying they will necessarily have different nutrients because they look different color, but often they do. So it's a good way to kind of think, okay, I'm likely getting more variety. Again, you want to eat healthy, but you don't want to fucking waste all your day thinking about this shit. So think of the simple rules, different colors, dark colors, flat leafy greens. And then you want to think the next thing, as I said before, is underground and overground. So underground things tend to have different nutrients, minerals from the dirt. So something like this, an underground food, grown underground, like a potato, sweet potato, is going to be different than something that's overground, just a tiny bit. And then something like garlic is just totally different than any of these other ones, except for maybe it's closest to that. But the ginger is also another one that's very powerful that used to be used as a medicine. So none of these are really medicines. So you can't overdose. You're not going to hurt yourself. So just go ahead and eat these things, even though they are very powerful. But you do have to be careful. If something's too powerful, you don't want to just randomly eat it. You want to make sure you don't get too much. Okay, so that's just kind of random. I'm going to cook that up. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to put a video in the end of what it looks like in the end, but I might be able to add that on. Another thing I got here, let's see, I got my coffee, and then here I got my cocoa powder. Now what I do with this is basically very simple. I have my milk, okay, got my milk, which is whole milk. I just have done a lot of reading. I tend to think whole milk is better. I'm not guaranteed on that, but that's just my feeling from reading all the research. I've been reading like food research for 40 years, and you never know for sure. One of the problems with health, one of the biggest fucking problems is that you never know for sure, because the only way you could know for sure is when guys are in prison. You can do an actual real check because you can see exactly what they ate. But human beings, the problem is they lie and they forget. So it's very difficult to know what is real and what is not as far as health research. Just simply because we're humans living free, right? You just can't. It's very difficult. It's like knowing, where a fish swims. Like, how the fuck do you know? Unless you have an RFID chip on them, which human beings, can't eat RFID chips, so it becomes even more difficult. But basically here, just to give you a kind of an overview, what I do with cocoa powder, I usually get the darker one. There's a darker one. I forgot what it's called, but they didn't have it last time, so I just got this one. So basically what I do is I get this powder, whatever country I'm in, wherever I'm in. This is always cheap. It's usually in the cooking section, so near the cookies, breads, and stuff. And often the best nuts are also there. But basically it's unsweetened and there's nothing else. It's just cacao powder. And what I do with this is I add it to the milk, I heat it up, and then just before I go to sleep, I have myself a little bit of that. And what it does is it kind of like milk, I don't know if this is old wives' tale or whatever, but they used to say you drink milk and you go to sleep. And I found that cocoa powder with no sugar is the best. You guys know I love chocolate, but I stopped eating chocolate actually. And I started going with just cacao powder and no sugar. And I tell you, I don't miss, once I started dumping this in there. The other thing is this is cheap, really cheap. So what you can do with this, you can put 2 massive heaping tablespoons into 1 cup so that it's so silky and chocolatey. It's amazing. Now, I'm going to warn you, the very, very first time that you make chocolate milk with this and no sugar, it's not going to taste good. Okay, it takes time. It's like, imagine a woman who uses a vibrator every day. When she doesn't use that vibrator for the first time, let's say she masturbates and she doesn't use a vibrator. It's going to be difficult for her because she's used to that extreme stimulation that comes from a vibrator, right? When she uses her fingers, it's going to take time for her brain to adjust. I think sugar is similar. It takes time. So don't worry. Like the first time, this is not going to taste good. Okay, but eventually it will taste good. And maybe give yourself a month of drinking this every day. And your taste buds will adjust. I promise you. Your taste buds will adjust over time without sugar. But it takes time. It really does take time. So in the beginning, it's going to taste like mud. But that will not be the case in the long term. And sometimes I make it with the coffee too. But what I do with the coffee generally is I just put milk in it. So here's what I do with instant coffee to make it taste good. Because this is very cheap. This is $4.99 for all this instant coffee. What I do with this is I put the instant coffee in and then I put whole milk in. I don't heat it or anything. And then I mix it up. No water, nothing. Just whole milk, instant coffee. Tastes great. You'd be surprised how good it tastes, actually. And that requires no heating. You don't need a stove. You don't need to clean a pan. Just pour some powder in there. Pour whole milk in there. Boom. Tastes great. I always have avocados around. I just think they're fantastic. The reason why avocados are so important is because they have oil in them. And your body needs oil. So you need oil. The reason why is because, well, a lot of reasons, your joints and everything, but you need good oil in somewhere. When you start eating too Gonzo, sometimes I think you don't get enough oil. And that's important. So avocados are good because it's been proven that if you eat like leafy vegetables with oil, your body can absorb them easier. Yeah, otherwise they come out in your urine, and that's easy to test. You can test people's urine and you can see that, there's so much minerals and vitamins in there. They're not being absorbed by the stomach. Why is that? The oil somehow allows the body, as a combination, to absorb. So if you just have, you make your vegetables, right? You have your vegetables, and then you just have one of these or half of this on top of that, you're going to be able to absorb your vitamins without any bullshit. You don't need any oil. Now, you can also do something like, you can also have olive oil. What I used to do is I would eat my vegetables, and I knew I needed a little bit of oil, so I would just take a little, like a sip, just like a sip of olive oil. The reason why I stopped doing that is I read a lot about olive oils, and apparently fake olive oil is a real thing. Serious problem. It's the Italian mafia has been doing it apparently for hundreds of years. Is they dilute olive oil with all kinds of other oils, and they sell it on the market. Everybody talks about China doing this. Actually, this is an old Italian thing from the mafia. And so I read enough to basically, believe, it was enough to convince me that there's a lot of fake olive oil out there. And I started to research olive oils and which one's good, which one's not. And I just don't see any good research out there. So I said, okay, I'll still use olive oil to cook with, because I think it's, it's going to be generally safer, better than a shitty, let's say, vegetable oil. But I don't completely believe it, okay? So that's my level. It's like I have a level from 1 to 100. This is not 100 anymore. So what I do is, instead of trusting, I need some oil, right? I know that. So this one has oil in it. That's guaranteed. The Italian mafia, nobody gets in there, right? And also you get, besides this, you get extra nutrients. Anytime you're dealing with processed things, you're always losing nutrients, always. Because you're heating up, you're cooking, they have to heat up the olives to get the oil out of them, or they have to do cold press. And then cold press is you need so many olives. That's why the fraudulent stuff comes in, because there's not enough olives to make all the olive oil everybody wants. So what they do, they start fucking mixing it up. And believe it or not, you can't trust the FDA. They just don't have time to test everything. I don't know if you guys remember, if you saw the episode where I started a supplement company and I found out a lot of things about the FDA. I'm not saying no conspiracies. I'm just saying that we eat a lot of food and they don't have enough time. They don't have enough people, and the tests are just too expensive. They can't test every single cookie for its ingredients. It's too difficult. Just in a nutshell, when you test for something, like let's say you test for, you want to test for something, you have to test for that. So is there this in that or not? You can't just look at an olive oil and say, what's in this? Because there's no test like that. You have to test, okay, is there any arsenic in there? Is there any this kind of oil in there? Is there any kind of water in it? You can test for specific things that you want to test for. But that becomes incredibly difficult, because if people are putting in crap in there, you don't know what the crap is. So you can only test for the crap that you know. And you can't just, so that's the reason why the FDA is fucked. Don't trust them. Do it yourself. This right here is very simple. See, it doesn't take a genius. You don't need to do any research. Okay, these are the kind of solutions I like. It's like, hey, I know I can get oil here. Boom, done. No matter what country I'm in, I don't need to research. I'm done, right? This one here, I know this is gold. So if I don't have time to eat, I'm just going to eat a thing of this. If I'm running out the door at 5 a.m, I got to go. I'm going to have this and maybe grab this and eat this as I go, and a cup of coffee. That's it. And then I'll be on my way. And then I might take a bite of this. I might take a bite of this, actually. Actually, look in the garbage can. Actually, it's good to look in there. I had this morning. This is a mango. So I had half a mango last night, half a mango today. That was great. I had some beans yesterday, as you can see, and bananas, because I worked out the other day. So I need potassium. So that's basically what I had there. Okay, now, today's episode. What are we going to talk about today? Oh, by the way, this is a Brooklyn floor. God, I love the wood here, man. It's so cool. It's so beautiful. I'm serious. Like, nothing is more beautiful than the simple things in life. Like, look at this grain. Seriously, look at this grain. It's so beautiful, and the camera's not even picking it up. Yeah, it's 100 times prettier in real life. Like, I'm serious. It's so beautiful. I don't know if I can really show you how beautiful it is. But and also the I don't know if it's Art Deco design or what it is, but it's just so pretty. The details in the ceiling. I just think it's so cool. I was looking up. I was sitting here kind of meditating in the morning, and I looked up and I thought, wow, look at that. That's beautiful. Okay, so we're at the front room here, which you guys have seen before. But I wanted to talk today about something very quick, and that is, actually, you know what? No, this is enough for today. It's a beautiful day. I got to get some stuff done. I hope that's been helpful, the health stuff, and let me know what you have learned. I don't want to get the idea that I eat the same thing all day. Okay, so a lot of my videos I make in the morning, and I show you my breakfast. So what you're looking at there is my breakfast. And that is different than what I eat in the afternoon. So I want to show you at some point. I'll film my whole day's food because I kind of have different things. What I do with my vegetable in the morning, that kind of stuff, is I know that sometimes once I leave the house, I don't like to be in the house all day. Okay, that's the first thing. I like to get out. I like people. I like activity. I like to see shit, especially on a day like today where it's beautiful. And so I want to make sure that I get the day started off right for two reasons. One is it guarantees me. It's like a base. I know I got some good shit in me. But also I think it puts my blood sugar and my body on a good even keel, which sets me up for a good day. And also good choices for food later. But I'll go ahead and I'm going to film everything. I want to go into a supermarket. I'm going to film it's like, there's a guy named Chuck C. used to say a new pair of glasses. And he said, to change yourself, you got to put on a new pair of glasses. You got to see the world differently. So I want to give you the Ronin glasses when it comes to the supermarket. Okay, so I'll do that here in the near future. And then later on in later videos, I'll do my lunch and afternoon. But I think the Ronin glasses for lunch, for a supermarket, are very important, or for a shop. So when you're looking for vegetables or any kind of food, when you're buying food, not when you're at home, but when you're actually looking at food, the rules I have, the mindsets I have, and the tricks of the trade I have, because your mind will fail you if you don't have simple rules to keep yourself in line. You'll end up buying things that you don't need. You'll end up buying garbage. You'll end up overpaying. You'll end up buying things that sometimes you'll buy things you don't cook because they're too hard to cook, and then you underestimate it. So I like to make like smart decisions, because your eating starts with the decisions you make in the supermarket. That's it, period. Because if you don't have anything that you eat at home, you're going to fucking go out and eat any kind of crap they have in the stores. And then you're fucked. Because the restaurants, because they don't give a fuck. They're just to make profit, right? And your health you care about that. Oh, a little bird right there. Right there. Oh, look at that. Yeah, there's always birds around here. It's so cool. Sorry, I don't have the window open. You could hear them. They sound really cool. They just sit out there, and I don't know if there was more of them when there was leaves. I'm not sure. The leaves just fell off, so it's not quite technically getting on winter, but not quite winter yet. Anyway, hope you guys have a good day. Thanks for watching.